Hi, my name's Paul Neale. This is my friend Amber Payne. We're actually going to be talking a little bit today about our favorite TV show, Doctor Who. So, Amber, first of all, thank you very much for helping me out here and being here this evening.
Absolutely.
So, we all know our favorite Doctor, very beginning. So, tell me, what was your actual favorite Doctor? What started you off in all this?
I started watching Doctor Who when I was young, so my very first Doctor was actually Peter Davison. He was my favorite for a long time, but that kind of morphed as the show went on.
Okay, so for those who don't really know, tell me a little bit who Peter Davison is. Not go-wise, but we all know that for those who aren't fans of the show, there's been 13 actors right now who played the role. So which in that sequence is Peter Davison in?
Peter Davison is the fifth Doctor.
Okay, and he took over... What time period was he roughly? And you think about the 80s,
He was early
he?
80s.
Okay. So what actually made you do you remember the first episode you saw of Peter Davison said, this is my show, I love this?
It's very vague because I was quite young. I was born in 1980, so it makes it a little bit harder for me to remember. But I think the first episode that really had an impact on me was actually when he regenerated. Because, everybody's first regeneration is something that's kind of impactful, especially if you're not expecting it. So
true. I know when I first watched it, and I watched a little bit longer, I was Tom Baker, and they were watching it thinking, what was going on here? It's like, who is this guy? Person's laying there and changing in, what's happening? So how was your reaction to that?
I was flabbergasted. I was what? 5 or 6 years old. It was just not something that you expect. And there's never been anything like that on television, especially even in the 80s where television got kind of crazy.
You're a big Peter Capaldi fan, coming to Fan Expo. What particular about Peter do you actually really enjoy?
It's a lot of aspects. When they first announced him, I had known him from other things, so as an actor I was really excited to see him there. But I think the first thing that really drew me to him is the first promo shots. The costume was instantly something that I loved and that I wanted to wear. But beyond that, I'm a bit of a cranky person. His doctor is a bit of a cranky person, and where a lot of people got drawn away from that and felt kind of repulsed by it, I was just on board for it. So for me, his personality and the way he speaks and the way he interacts with people is something that I identified with, so I just was instantly on board from the first episode on.
All right, so let's talk companions a bit. Being over 55 years now, do you have particular favorite companions or a favorite companion?
2.
Okay, which 2?
I like Jamie, who was a companion of the second Doctor, and Ace, who was a companion of the 7th Doctor.
Okay, 2 of my favorites as well. But for you, why do you like those 2 particular companions?
For Jamie, Fraser Hines is a sweetheart, but beyond that, the relationship he had with the second Doctor, up until that point in the series, I don't think there was anybody who really had that kind of buddy, kind of full trust relationship like that. Like, just the relationship that 2 and Jamie had was a really special
Other
thing.
than Susan, but that's a...
Yeah, but she doesn't count, she's family. But just from the perspective, I would have liked to have been Jamie and had that kind of relationship with the Doctor, you know? As for Ace, as a young girl growing up in the 80s, I didn't really have a lot of female role models, so to have somebody who was just so gung-ho and beating up Daleks with baseball bats and running around with high explosives, she was great. She was interesting. She wasn't screamy like a lot of the other companions. She was just everything that you'd want to be as a girl in the 80s, I think.
Excellent. So now let's switch over a little bit. Let's talk about the villains, the aliens, the monsters. The monster of the week. So who was some of your favorites?
Well, if you count Master as a monster, definitely the Master and all of his carnations. But, I don't know. Everybody loves the Daleks and the Cybermen. I love the Yeti. It's such a weird, crazy thing, and I think part of it's because I like the monster, but part of it is just because of the ingenuity they had to have in creating these things back in the classic series.
That's true, yeah, because it's all nothing but big fur trying to pretend to be, and it's Yeti, exactly like it is, a Yeti. So it's a big ball of fur, and they're trying to maneuver it, basically trying to treat it like a robot, moving back and forth like this. So Now, let's move on a little bit more the new. I mean, everybody was very excited for the first female Doctor. I know you were as well. So now that Jodie's had her first season, what do you think overall?
I like Jodie. I think she did an excellent job. I know a lot of people have problems, but that's social commentary I don't want to get into. For me, I feel that she was excellent, her companions were excellent, the writing was spotty and needs to be worked on. I think just like every Doctor, she needs the second series for her to kind of for the writers to figure her out and for the actress to kind of lock in the character. So
now for the 60th anniversary, rumors are going already about it, and it's only for about 4 years off. David Tennant's already hinting that he'd love to come back. You think more will come back? I mean, you think Matt will show up? You think they'll finally, will Jodie be able to come back and do it? Well, what would you like to see?
I would like to see that. I would like to see more active involvement from the classic actors. I think while they did background things and they did the little one-shot with the 8th Doctor, I don't feel like they utilized the actors as well as they could have. So I would like to see the 8th Doctor again. I would like to see all the remaining Doctors involved and have it be a really special thing, because we don't know how long we're going to have some of these actors. So for me, that's what I would like to see. I would like to see a better melding of classic and new Who.
Excellent. Now, outside of Peter, Fan Expo next weekend, who else are you excited to see or do at Fan Expo?
Well, Brendan Fraser, I definitely am happy to see. I kind of want to catch a glimpse of Jeff Goldblum. I don't know if I've got the time to go and see him.
or the binoculars staring at him.
But yeah, I've heard tell that Bruce Campbell's going to be there, so I'd kind of...
I'm hearing rumors of that too, actually.
So if that's true, I wouldn't mind actually going and finally meeting him for once. Other than that, I mean, I have my duties, and I'm looking forward we're doing a cosplay panel, and I'm looking forward to doing that because I haven't done one of those before.
You've done a few cosplays already. Tell me a few of the you've done, and what do you like?
Well, I started out as the 10th Doctor, and I've really enjoyed it, but it takes a certain amount of energy to be him. I most recently put together an 11th Doctor cosplay on the orders of Mark Sheppard, one of the actors that's been in Doctor Who before. So that was a fun experiment in how fast I could source pieces. But most people know me for my 12th Doctor costume. It's probably the one I've put the most work and effort into. It's one that I really enjoy being, and I feel most natural being him. I don't feel like I really have to stretch myself to interact with people as his Doctor, and it shows because people look for me now.
Now, you've done a couple of versions, he's done a couple of versions of his costume. Which do you actually do?
Right now, I started out with the Series 8 look, which is the one that most people know, which is the ink blue Crombie coat with the waistcoat or the cardigan. I most recently crowdsourced one of his later looks from Series 9, which is a beautiful black velvet with a blue satin lining coat. Well, in Series 10.
So when you're cosplaying, I know some people, they just do the costume, that's it, they're done. Others get really in-depth into their character. What about you? Do you get into, try to be Peter, or is it just, I'm wearing the costume and, hey, I like the coat?
Well, I mean, I can't exactly be as blunt with people when I'm working the booth, because it is a charity organization and I do have a responsibility to be pleasant to people. But if they want a photo with me, they're going to get Capaldi. I go the full 9 yards with the attack eyebrows, to the point where I spend more time on them for makeup than I do in my normal daily routine. So I'm not walking around trying to imitate an older Scottish gentleman, but you're darned right I'm going to give them the best that I can.
So I know we both belong to the Doctor Who Society of Canada. So what do you do with that group?
Well, it used to be that I primarily did booth duty, so I would take photos with people and interact with them and ask for donations and all that kind of thing. But recently, in the last couple of years, we've started running some Doctor Who themed escape rooms, and my primary function now mostly comes down to assisting and running the registration table for it. So it's a good gig. I mean, it feels a little silly sitting behind a desk sometimes in full costume in the middle of the summer, but people like it. It's enjoyable.
So the escape room's going to be running all 4 days?
It will be running all 4 days. It will be in the north building. The room number escapes me at the moment, but we will be near the second cup entrance. It's a good time. We've never had anybody come out and not had a good time. And outside of raising money for charity, our primary concern is that everybody comes out having had fun. So,
excellent. Well, let's talk a little bit the new series again. So we've had the Daleks show up. Do you want anybody else to come into the new season?
Well, I think it's too soon for the Master. I think we've had our time for that. I think they need to work into that. I know a lot of people I know would like to see River Song come back into it somehow. And Captain Jack, I think, is the number one person that I want, because I want to see how that interaction is going to go down when his face realizes that the Doctor's a woman,
Oh, that's going to be a big shock. So, one other question though. I know we're also big audio fans, Doctor Who audios. Do you have any particular ones that you enjoy or series that you'd like to listen to?
I like I, Davros. It's kind of rare for some series to really go in depth into a lot of their major villains. They'll basically, it's like, you'll have the Joker, you'll have the Riddler, you'll have the Penguin, but you won't hear anything about the Spot, or, you won't get any kind of in-depth commentary.
Now, for those who don't know, who exactly is Davros a little?
Davros is the creator of the Daleks. He is a gentleman who has given of himself so much that he is wheelchair-bound, essentially, and he is arguably, the Doctor's greatest foe.
Amber, again, I want to thank you very much for coming and helping me do this today. And we're talking about a little bit about our favorite show, Doctor Who.
Thank you very much for having me.